Well, I want to start off with a caveat. I am not meant to represent young people. I'm here merely to moderate this session. I think it was a cruel joke from our partners at FII to put me with some exceptional Gen Z next generation leaders whom are going to join us on stage very soon. But I'm going to keep my remarks very brief just to say how important it is when we talk about generational change that we think about really developing the next generation of leaders and bringing all of our capabilities as a society, whether it's our education, our experience, our capital, to really fund and fuel this next generation. And what we're going to hear today is 4 exceptional panelists, leaders in their early 20s who are already building great institutions that are changing the world in the climate transition, in financial inclusion, in broader diversity and inclusion, and bringing all the tools that, frankly, maybe we haven't seen before, music and technology and collaboration at a scale that's quite extraordinary. So I'm really, really excited that we're going to have this panel up. We're going to start off with actually one of our panelists, A.Y. Young. He is a youth leader in the Sustainability Development Goals of the UN and founder of Project 17. We're going to start with a quick video from A.Y. Over to the video.
A local hip-hop artist makes an international name for himself. He is the first artist to power his concert with 100% renewable energy.
It is a real honor to recognize Mr. A.Y. Young, the founder of Battery Tour.
It's incredible. Can't wait for you to see this. The United Nations is now throwing its support behind him.
Mr. Young has made a big impact in his young life, born in 1991. He's a singer-songwriter, a dancer, producer, entrepreneur, and sustainability advocate. He's staged and performed more than 800 concerts. He was named by the United Nations recently as one of 17 youth world leaders of the world, the only individual selected for that honor from the United States.
To stimulating this local economy further, bringing entrepreneurs together, bringing businesses together, bringing the world together so we can make some change.
I'm here to listen. Don't ask me questions. Tell me what to do. Give me ideas.
My mission is to kind of break down these silos, these barriers, and build bridges to power collective action by bringing everyone together.
It's going to be incredible. My work plan's in 3 different phases. I'm going to make an album powered 100% by renewable energy.
Right now, A.Y. Young is working on an album based on the 17 United Nations goals. Major stars like Tech9 and Billie Eilish will collaborate.
Nothing is special when you can come to my house and eat. Because we go way back.
There are 700 million people that are still living in poverty.
The whole premise of your music is about collaboration 100%. And about getting excited. It's about going across the finish line.
I don't think anyone can disagree that everyone needs to have access to energy, water, food. My belief is that everyone in the world, we're all these outlets for change. Thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome. You know, this morning, Richard Adius said, "Who cares will win? Who cares will win?" And when I go back like a year and a half ago when I started Project 17, like that was kind of like the premise of like how I put Project 17 together, because we're all in this world together. The private sector, we're all humans, right? Corporations, companies, individuals, artists, we share this planet and we have to preserve it so we can win together, right? So, it's interesting, like, a year and a half ago, or I think it was about a year and a half ago, you saw like the Secretary General Antonio Guterres put me into this position as one of the 17 UN young leaders of the world, right? And he was, you saw the little video, and he's like, "Tell me what to do. Tell me what I was like, "Yeah, bro, I'll tell you what to do." I think I had no idea, But I actually didn't know what the 17 goals were. These like 17 things that the UN we need to do by 2030. I spent my whole life doing these renewable energy powered concerts, and then I built some technology because I found out 1 billion people don't have access to energy. So I was like, okay, I'll use my passion, what I love to do, to help get the world plugged in. And that's what you saw is like the last 10 years, me just getting the world access to energy, right? And I found out about these 17 goals, and I was like, oh shoot, this is everyone, right? This is all of us. Like, we need to achieve, like, everyone should have food. Everyone should have water. And again, I say the private sector, corporate, we all win. When that happens, right? When people are educated, when they have access to energy, et cetera, and so forth. So, Project 17 is very simple. I'm not gonna talk you guys' ear off. I know you've been dealing with a lot today, a lot of people talking, you might be tired, it's lunchtime. But I looked at the goals after he said that, and I was like, okay, that's what we'll do. We'll do one song for each goal, right? But each song with a major artist, plugged into the goal that they care about, what they're passionate about, right? It's not the fact that Billie Eilish has 10 million followers or whatever. Like when I sat down with Billie or Tech9, or when we're working with The Weeknd and his team or WFP, it's like, hey, what do you care about? Right? The Weeknd spent $1 million on donating for food. He wants to end world hunger. So that's where you plug in at, right? Be this outlet for change. I think everyone in the world, everything in the world is an outlet for change, right? Like, that's why I wear it on me. I think plugged into each other on the local level, on the community level, on the world level, we can power change. So that's what Project 17 is plugging in every facet of humanity, the private sector, corporations, artists, individuals, to power change. So one song for each goal, 17 songs, right, with 17 major artists, right? 17 or more, corporations plugged in to sponsor the goal, to share in the impact so we can win together. Because there's so many corporations that care about goal 11 or goal 2 or goal 7, right? They want to win in that area. So we're plugging in these corporations. We're plugging in what I call impact partners. I call myself the Robin Hood of the music industry. You know what I'm saying? Because the project is to give it away. A lot of people in the industry are saying what I'm doing is like We Are the World, like Michael Jackson's project, because the music's going to fund the impact. So we're plugging in these 17 or more kind of impact partners or organizations that do the work, that get people food, that get people water. So the music powers the action, right? So it's really cool. I just got back from Detroit. I did a launch at General Motors, and before that, we did a launch in Times Square with Samsung, one of my new partners. So I'm so blessed to be kicking this off and to be at FII here today to talk to you guys about how we can all win together and achieve these goals, right? So that's what Project 17 is. It's really here to bring the world together, to plug us all in, to get us connected, right? So as Richard said, we can all win together, yeah, right? So thank you guys so much. Hope you guys, great youth panel. We can save the planet, everybody.
Excellent. Well, let's welcome our other panelists, Nazreen, Jansen, and Maximo. Come on up, guys. Excellent. So guys, let's start with what is it that you're actually working on, and what gives you the optimism that what you're working on is going to change the world? So Nazreen, could we start with you, please?
Yes, thank you, and I'm very glad to be here with you all today. Well, actually, I got to ask this question a lot. What keeps you optimistic to do whatever you are doing? And after 10 years of working climate change, I started 2012, January 2012, so it's basically 10 years now. I can fully and truly tell you that I don't have the privilege of losing optimism. It's a lot of privilege to be able to be optimistic or unoptimistic, which is a privilege we don't have. Unfortunately, I can't just decide to go to the Bahamas and wait by the beach until the world gets burned, because it doesn't happen like this, and because, of course, I cannot afford it. But also what keeps us going every day, what makes me get up off the bed and do what I'm doing for 10 years now, is I really believe that we deserve better than this, and we can actually achieve what we deserve. And we work for this every day. That's simply how it is. I mean, the people of my country cannot afford people who have privilege. I feel I'm privileged comparing to the rest of the community. I had education, I have roof on my top, I have food, I have parents who really supported me a lot. So it's up to us, the privileged people, to actually speak up for the people who have less privilege and doesn't have this opportunity.
Very powerful. Nazreen, why don't you tell us a little bit what your specific organization does?
Well, big question. Well, to just long story short, I tried to do a little bit of everything. So I basically started doing climate work with rural communities and volunteering in small organizations. And then I moved to working with negotiators, because I discovered that unfortunately what's happening at COPs and in the negotiations really controls a lot of the outcomes of the world. So I started being negotiator first with the delegation of Sudan, then with the African group of negotiators. And currently, I am advising the Secretary General. I'm the chair of the UN Secretary General's Youth Advisory Group on Climate Change, trying to also make a big influence on the UN highest level, which is the Secretary General. I can tell you all of this is still not working. So now we are also trying to influence the head of states and the member states, because without political will, unfortunately, nothing will happen.
Thank you, Nazreen. Maximo, over to you. What do you do, and what keeps you optimistic about the world?
To start with, thank you very much for inviting us to hear us, because for youth it's very important to sit in this kind of tables and participate in this kind of events. We are inheriting the decisions and the actions that we are taking right now, so we want to be involved. That's the thing. So thank you very much for that. I'm part of a youth movement born in Latin America, and it's from the Global South. It's called Eco House Global. I'm part of almost 10 alliances of youth about climate change, environmental policies, education, among others. And we work with more than 40 programs. We are more than 1,000 in my organization, and we are thousands in our region. I'm speaking from Latin America and the Caribbean, trying to walk this path towards sustainability. What makes me optimistic? People that is around us, people that gives more than they receive, that they try very hard. We are from a generation that now there's a term in psychology that is called eco-anxiety. I believe many of you here heard about that. That's not a marketing word. We work with a lot of people that almost believe that the world is going to be really, really tough in the next couple of years, and it's already really, really, really tough. In my country, half of the population is poor, for example. We are 45 million, half is poor. 7 out of 10 children around my city is poor. So if we do not get involved, how are we going to change this? We cannot change it only from a desk. We need to get to territory, understand what is going on. We do that, and people inspire us.
Amazing. Jansen, you've just come in from Kigali, so tell us, what are you up to there?
And I agree with my colleagues on the stage. Thank you all for having us today and for allowing us to be at the table and to have a word. So my name is Jansen Durham. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Fixa Rwanda. Fixa is a digital staffing agency that is helping Africa's youth in the informal economy get access to formal job opportunities. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with what the informal economy is, it is actually described as low volume work that goes neither monitored or taxed by the government. And so what we do, and a great example of this is, imagine you're a laborer, you wake up every morning at 3 a.m., you walk over 10 kilometers just looking for one job, one casual or temporary job, but you can't have it. You don't have access to a work history, earnings history, or no way to essentially formally apply to a job. And that's where Fixa comes in. We come in to essentially apply a solution to allow these youth in the informal economy to have access to these job opportunities and to provide them with stable jobs, as well as access to social protection, insurance, long-term saving schemes, and microloans. So, why I'm optimistic about the future going forward, because I'm sitting on stage with like-minded entrepreneurs like ourselves to catalyze change and to enact. But by 2050, 1 in 4 people in the world will be African, and over 300 million people will be employed in the informal sector. So we're hoping to essentially bridge this gap in this digital divide to basically be able to supply long-term jobs and stable opportunities for those all around the world.
Excellent. Well, guys, you are entrepreneurs, you're leaders, you're fighting the good fight. You have some of the most important stakeholders in the world here across the public and private sectors. So what do we need from them? AY, why don't you start off?
What do we need from private sector,
from the people in this room?
People in this room. I'd say trying to put
Don't
the
be
right
polite.
words together,
Come on, man.
right?
You gotta time to make the ask.
Well, it's interesting because I'm very new to the sustainability movement and all this stuff, and I see so many people. It seems like almost yelling at people that would be in this room, or you should do this or you should that, and I don't think that's the way to go. I think I try to come from a place of love. At the end of the day, we all are humans. We all have kids and family. We're connected, right? We don't want someone yelling at us, telling us how to spend our money or not spend it. I mean, you guys have earned it or came into it or whatever, So it's an interesting thing when some of the have-nots to some degree are yelling at the haves, right? I think the important thing, and I like to use the goals as framework, sure. And it's just when I look at the goals, it's can't we all agree, that everyone needs food or water, we need to be more sustainable, we need to take care of our ocean, we need to take care of these things, right? I mean, we can all agree, we probably should, everyone should have clean water. So I think with that thought, I say, well, what do we need from the people in the room? It's really the people in the room, not just talking. And I say this to the youth. There's a whole lot of youth that talk, and it's not a bad thing. But what action can you take? It's interesting with Project 17. It's we're given, of the record sales, 75% is going to go straight to the action. And then 25% back for overhead, right? It's wake up the next day, someone has food. So to me, it's everyone in this room, if you're listening, right, what can I do? Well, take an action. Actually do something. Maybe it's supporting an organization like this, guys, or a Project 17, or it's talking to a colleague, or actually just try to take an actual measurable action, the next time you have the opportunity, Gen Z, millennials, we are, Gen Z for sure is leading the charge, are going to be the next buyers. Not leading the digital charge, but so we have there's a lot of voices, and so I know that I try to empower Gen Z and their voice with my platform, and maybe you guys can too. I don't know. Spread love, guys.
Nazreen, you're working very closely with the UN. What do you need from the private sector to help support what you're doing?
Before answering the question, I am always so glad to share the stage with AY, because normally we are the only two people who wear sneakers in a very formal meeting. But I feel even more comfortable today because 2 more are willing
That's right.
in the panel. But also, I think what is very important is the summit today is about ESG. Yes, and the CEO earlier spoke about he didn't know anything about ESG and he had to Google it. Well, to be honest, I didn't know also until today, so I had to also Google it while we had the session. And then I discovered that ESG is simply environment, social, and governance. And I want to do like a small experiment. It might take a little bit long time, but I really need all of you to participate in this experiment with me. So we start with governance. If you are coming from a country that doesn't have a government in the first place, please raise your hand. If you never used a Visa card because your country is under sanctions since 1996, please raise your hand. If you have to always hack Microsoft Office or iTunes because you can't have American software in your country, please raise your hand. And for you too? Really?
Yeah.
Great. Normally people can't afford it, but for me it was just the politics of the country. Anyway, it's very hard to talk about governance when you don't have a government, when you spend your life in wars in a country that's been isolated from the rest of the world for 30 years because of a decision of a dictatorship government no one wanted in the first place. So today when I wanted to check in the hotel, they said, well, you have to give us a credit card as a deposit, just in case. I was like, well, unfortunately, I'm a Sudanese, so I can't have a credit card, and I had to explain all of the politics to the reception people. I'm very sorry for that, but they have to understand the concept.
Guys, thank you so much. Thank you, FII, for hosting us. And guys, continue your inspiring work. Thank you so much.